morning. Stuart, what's
I'm
that?
going to be on film all day again today. If I don't get the countdown.
All right, good morning again. Good morning, good morning. We have any folks that are first time? Anybody first time? First time? Anybody first time? Look it around, raise your hand, don't be ashamed. Oh, thank you. Steve and Char, they're almost first time. They've been away from God for a while and have returned. So we're grateful. We are grateful, okay? Andrew, go on to the next slide on the series, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, stop. Yeah, stop. There you go. We are in a series, I don't have to tell you, we've been in it, seems like forever. We got one more teaching to go on problems, and problems. We've looked at a number of problems that I think are just, just part of life for most of us, some more than others. And I want to tell you about a resource that I think can be helpful in two ways. Helpful for you individually if you need somebody, not necessarily a professional counselor, though there's nothing wrong with that, to help you walk through the journey of an issue, a problem. Just need somebody to be there to care for. And then on the other side is, some of you are at a point in your journey, not that life is problem-free, but you walk through life and you could really help others who are walking through difficult situations. Again, you don't need to be a professional counselor. On your table is a ministry called Stephen Ministry. Stephen Ministry. Wanda Champagne, who's normally here at table 10, she works part-time in there. Jeff Thompson, our pastoral care pastor, oversees that. I came across Stephen Ministry probably 15 to 20 years ago. It was originated out of Minnesota. It's a program where willing and available folks go through training, and it's intense. It's intense training to equip you to get paired up appropriately, gender appropriately, with folks who are just going through problems but don't need, at least at that point in the journey, what I would call professional care, professional counseling. They just need a friend, they just need a brother, a sister in Christ to come alongside them and to meet with them regularly and just kind of help them manage whatever the problem may be. So Stephen Ministry does that. We've been involved in it probably 5 or 6 years. I think we have about 35, maybe 40, Jeff can tell us next week, adults who are trained to help people. It's a wonderful ministry. So on your table is a brochure. Take that if you have any interest at all, because it's a perfect, I wish I mentioned it earlier, it's a perfect resource for the series that we've been going through. Again, from two perspectives. One is, do you need someone to come alongside you? Personally, I think we all do at times. We all do. But are you at a place in your journey that you could get the training, be equipped, and help others to walk through the journey? Okay, so next week, our brochures will be out again, and then I've asked Jeff to come in next week and take 3 or 4 minutes and just talk about personally a little bit more about the training and what's involved in it. So it's just a really good segue. It's a wonderful, wonderful ministry, and I'm glad our church added it years ago. Okay, so next is I want to call to your attention. Go to the archive slide, Andrew. If you're looking to somebody have asked, all of the teachings are available. You just got to go to YouTube, and just Google Jimmy Knott Journey Class, and you'll find all the videos listed there. Somebody have asked, how can I get that? Listen to that again. Most of you know that every teaching that I do, 40 minutes, is usually a series and not just one. I cover so much information. Some folks need to go back because they're just slow learners and not paying a lot of attention. They just need to go back and listen to it again or watch it again. All right? Okay, let's see. There was one other thing. I'm going to walk over. Desi, there you are. Desiree had been, here almost from the beginning, church, this sweet lady, and last Sunday afternoon, late in the afternoon, she found her 27-year-old boy deceased at home. Just heartbreaking. And the celebration service is this Saturday at 11, and I wanted you to know. First, I want to thank June and Rob and Linda and this table here who reached out and loved and been there for the family. And just a horrific tragedy and heartbreaking, and one of which a few of us understand. It's a club that you don't want to be a member of. It is. And so I want to call to your attention, and I wanted to take a minute to pray collectively for Desi and for the family, and then that God would be honored in the celebration service on Saturday morning. Okay, so would you join me in prayer? Lord, sometimes there's still things I don't understand. Don't make any sense to me, but they don't have to. I'm not in control, and we're not in control. We have less control than we could ever imagine. But you are. And things happen. You're not treating us as robots, and we make decisions that hurt ourselves and hurt others. Cause great pain. But you never leave us nor forsake us. And Lord, we pray that as only you can do, that which the enemy means for evil, you can turn to good and you can use. Becomes an opportunity to be a positive witness for you, an opportunity to talk about your love and your grace and your sustaining us through difficult times. I thank you for Desi, thank you for his son, and Lord, I thank you for this table who's reached out and ministered. I thank you for other family and friends who have been there. And as we move towards Saturday, may you be honored in the celebration service. May folks that are there that don't know Christ come to Christ, and those who are discouraged in their journey be encouraged, and those who are on their last leg of hope find it. And help us to pray this week and in the days ahead as your Spirit brings them to our mind. For Desi and the family, as they face Christmas at an empty seat at the table, birthdays, anniversaries, death days, those kind of things, those first years are very difficult. So provide your grace and be with them in this very difficult time as they begin this journey of finding a new normal. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I will try to finish a little bit early if I can. There's a meeting in here at 11:15 related to the potential multi-site launch at Horizon West. We had such a great response a few weeks ago, but we felt like there were still other folks who might have an interest. So there's a meeting following the 10 o'clock service in here, and there's another one probably following the 11:30 service. So we really need to get the room cleared out by 11:10 to 11:15 in that area. Okay? All right, take your outline. Take your outline. And we're going to look at the problem today of giving and receiving criticism. Not that any of us ever do either. Okay? Or maybe it's as fresh as the last 30 minutes. Okay? I want to begin by reading you a portion of an article that I really got some years ago. You'll understand. How many of you remember where you were January 26, January 28, 1986? That was the day that the shuttle Challenger exploded. I know where I was because I was standing on Welcome Center B outside, on that side of Welcome Center B on the steps. And I think a number of folks were even on the roof of the church, but I'm afraid of heights, that's why I'm short. Not really, just in jeans. And I remember standing there and watching it go up. It was a beautiful day, it was cool, watching it go up. And then, oh, it was kind of funny. One of mine's all kind of crazy, the trail of smoke. Honestly, I didn't think anything about it, so I went back inside, went upstairs, and my assistant said, "Can you believe?" Believe what? He blew up. Wow. And 7 people died. On January the 28th, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger and his crew embarked on a mission to broaden educational horizons and promote the advancement of scientific knowledge. The most outstanding objective of the Challenger mission was the delivery of educational lessons from space by a teacher, Christy McAuliffe. Okay. Lesson was indeed delivered, but not the one which anyone expected. Just 75 seconds after liftoff, tragedy struck. For a watching world, the shuttle suddenly erupted overhead, disintegrating the cabin along with his crew. The debris of metal, blood, and bones plummeted to Earth, along with our nation's glory. What had gone wrong? That was the pressing question everyone asked. As teams of researchers examined the wreckage, the specific cause was soon found. You may remember this. The problem was with the O-rings, circular rubber seals, which had been designed to fit snugly into the joints of the booster engine sections. Evidently, the O-rings had become defective under adverse conditions, and the resulting mechanical failure led to the tragedy. But was that the whole story? The truth eventually got out. The New York Times put it frankly. The ultimate cause of the space shuttle disaster was pride. A group of top managers failed to listen carefully to the warnings, advice, feedback, and criticisms given by those down the line who were concerned about the operational reliability of certain parts of the booster engine under conditions of abnormal stress. In closing this comment, just think, heeding criticism could have saved 7 human lives. Granted, that's a dramatic illustration. Granted, rarely are the consequences of giving or receiving criticism that dynamic, but it does happen. Living on this planet and being in relationships, both family, friends, work, church, there is no way to avoid criticism. There's just no way to avoid it. Some folks feel like criticizing others is their mission in life. And I am confident none of you are in here. I'm confident of that. Probably wrong. Of that. It's something that we all face. I had rather, I had rather my family, I had rather my friends, I'd rather my boss, I'd rather people come to me and say, good job, great job, rather than to come and criticize me. I'm sure that's probably true for all of us. Aristotle said, criticism is something we can avoid easily by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. Saying nothing, doing nothing, and being. But knowing that it's just a normal part of life, I think we can all, I know I can, do a better job first of being smarter at how we give it, and also being wiser in how we receive it. Knowing that it's coming. Knowing that it's just a part of life. Unfortunately, of the, frankly, many downsides of social media and technology, it's become easier than ever imagined to take pot shots and to criticize and remain unnamed in many ways. It's unfortunate, but it's true. On your listening guide are some scriptures. I asked you to read most of those I gave you last week in assignment. There's a couple of new ones. Here's what I want you to do. We'll give you probably 3-5 minutes to do that. We'll put the tape on pause. There are scriptures, Proverbs 9:9 is the first one, all the way down. See to Ecclesiastes 7:5. Ecclesiastes 7:5. Here's what I want you to do quickly at your table. Read, whether you got a table of 2 or whether you got a table of 15. Read aloud. Have somebody read it and just go around the table. Somebody don't want to read, just skip to the next one. Don't put anybody in an uncomfortable position. Read those verses aloud at the table. And ask yourself, what are the themes? What are the themes? What are the main ideas here that have something to say to us about criticism? About criticism, whether it's giving it or receiving it. More receiving it, but look at those, read them aloud, okay? And then I'll come back in a few minutes and pick up, and I want to read through Matthew 7 together and talk about it, and then jump into some suggestions on giving and receiving criticism. Okay? All right, go. All right, let's wrap it up. You can frankly pick up that discussion at the end comfortably if you want to. I think there were 10 passages, 9 different Proverbs, and then one out of Ecclesiastes, but all from the same author, Solomon. Supposedly, one of the wisest men to ever live. Maybe so, but anybody that has that many wives is not that wise. Okay, but that's a whole different subject. Okay, so, but I think there's some themes, especially that kind of speak to the subject of criticism, reproof, feedback, that at least stuck out of my mind. I'm sure you came up with these, where you were. But as I read those verses over and over again the last week, here's what kept surfacing for me. Number one is I need to be a better listener. Okay, I don't do well with criticism, especially if I think they're attacking my motive or my character. Okay, I don't do well with that, and it doesn't help. I know this will shock you that I'm a very defensive person. You're shocked by that. You'll get over it later. Okay, but I have a tendency when I get engaged in a conversation that, especially if I feel like they're kind of coming at me a little bit, to get defensive in this sense. Okay, I make them be gracious and smile. I'm not sure my body language is giving all that, but I have a tendency the whole time that person is talking, after I get the sense they're coming after me, is what am I going to say back when they shut up? Okay? So what that means is I'm not listening. I'm not listening. And, I need to do a better job of that, And I think I have. I've moved from -4 to 2. That's an improvement. Come on. Go with me here. Help me here, okay? There. All right. So listening matters. And probably all of us could, some of us are better at it than others. Another thing that I wrote down was I need to remain humble and teachable. Humble and teachable. A third thing, which may be the nugget for our topic, is I can become wiser if I listen receptively to the criticism, whether it is constructive or destructive. Okay? I figure if God could speak in numbers through Balaam's ass, He probably can through the person that I'm now talking to. Now, I'm not inferring. Okay? I'm not inferring. Okay? Yes, I am. The person in front of me is a donkey, but not necessarily. Okay. But talk more about it at the end. But these are just some. There are lots of verses there on the subject of reproof, forgiveness. I've given you some biblical examples, and gosh, these are just a few. Moses, of course, he was a leader, and leaders tend to get more criticism. They're a little bit more out front, and it's easy to take pot shots at them. And but Moses got it from 2 to 3 million followers, and but it's all through Scripture. But you look at the life of Paul, and you look at the life of Jesus. They were constantly criticized. And of course, in many cases, they were constantly criticized from the religious, supposedly the spiritual, the godly. What really peeves me at times when folks come to me and say, well, God told me to tell you this. I don't even know how to respond to that. Okay. Usually I use my gift of sarcasm. And I say, is that with a little g or a big G? Okay? All right. And I know that shocks you as well. Okay. So let's talk about, I've just got 5 under each, and I think they're really self-explanatory. Got a couple of good quotes, but let me walk through. Start on I think it's a little bit easier side, which is the giving criticism, which some of you in the room or some of your family members or co-workers feel like is their gift in life, is offering and giving criticism. Here's the thing that we need to remember, I need to remember. At the moment, whether it's frankly an email or whether it's personal and conversation, what have you, the moment someone approaches you to offer criticism, that moment is a moment of trust. Where the relationship goes from there is determined by how you and I respond, even if we get into how you give, even if how they're doing it isn't. It's a moment of trust. And relationships are built on trust. That conversation is either going to build the relationship and the trust, or it's going to erode it. And in the end, and I think most of us who are aging understand this more than we did many years ago. Relationships are everything. That doesn't mean you compromise your character. It doesn't mean you compromise your integrity. Okay? That does mean at times that we're willing to swallow and to humble ourselves and to swallow our own pride, not to win and not to be right, but to hold on to the relationship. In the end, that matters a whole lot more. Okay? I didn't practice that for years. I really do try to practice that now, because for many years, the most important thing for me was to win. At all costs, to win. And frankly, I would say I probably won more than I lost, but in the end, I lost. Because I lost relational equity with folks because of my unwillingness to receive the criticism. So, let's walk through these 5. Number 1, and I think this is the most important. I really think this is the most important. Try to understand their perspective. Try to understand try to do everything that you can to get their beliefs, their viewpoints, where are they coming from. Even if you disagree, try to find out where they're coming from. That takes time, it takes effort. It especially takes time and effort if this whole thing started with a tweet, with a text, with an email. Okay? I can't urge you or me enough if you get, as it were, confronted and criticized an email, okay, you know, get it as personal as soon as you can. Get off the written, get off the text, okay? Get as soon as you can, get in conversation, especially face to face. And try to find out, again, this is giving criticism, try to find out, what did they really say? Have there been times that you've been criticized or you've read criticism and you read that and you hear that and you go, I don't even recognize that. Where did that come from? That is not at all what I meant. That's not at all what I said. So trying to get the other person's viewpoint is important, and it's not easy, okay? Set this down. Mark, you're going to be my guinea pig. These are my glasses. Now, I've got on contacts, but these are my glasses that I wear when I take my contacts off so I can find the room. Okay? And they're not near as thick as they used to be when I was a teenager. They used to be coat bottles. Okay? But this is how I'm able to see the world. Okay? Mark, take your glasses off. Okay, put mine on. How's that do for you, buddy? Okay, sorry, Mark just threw up. Okay. We just have a different perspective, don't we? Just a totally different perspective. We just see things differently. That's not just true in our vision. Because of how God designed and created all of us, we have a lens through which we see life. It establishes a context for us. And we have a tendency to judge and to view other people through our lens. But you got to remember, they have a different lens. They don't see things the way we see it. And yet what we usually do is try to help them to put on our glasses. You need to see it the way I see it. Then you'll have it right. Rather than trying to understand, help me to see it through your lens. Why did you say, why did you do what you did that I'm offering criticism? In your notes, I think it's this great quote from Stephen Covey. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. It's so easy with a lack of information and viewpoint to take things out of context and to say and to do things when you don't have the picture from the other side. So let's not criticize someone until we've done a better job of trying to figure out what was their lens, what was their viewpoint, what was their perspective, what were they trying to say. Don't take one sentence out of a whole conversation and blow it up. Listen. This is what the Proverbs had talked about. Listen. Because if we don't get their perspective, then we may, I never thought about this in our prayer lesson, we may violate the 9th commandment. I know what the 9th commandment of the 10 Commandments is. Do what? Do not bear false witness. Do not do that. Do not do that. And yet, as I look back, I've got a litany of doing that because I didn't shut up and listen and try to get in their shoes and see things through their glasses. And I falsely accused them without getting the whole story. I may get the whole story straight and still disagree with them. And that's okay, but at least I try to get into their sandals, into their shoes. And I think there have been a few people in my journey that have done that, and I look back, and I'm going to tell you, the fact that they cared enough to try to understand my perspective really made a huge difference. Rather than just coming in attack mode after me. So first, try to understand their perspective. Okay, number 2, approach with grace and fairness. You know, I tell you, a good place to start before you blow them up. Is there anything positive you can begin with? Anything positive that can start the conversation? I really appreciate this about you. You know, I'm thankful for this about you. Rather than jumping in over something that they said or something that they wrote, to try to start on a positive note, it's disarming in a good sense. You get two folks, especially if they have strong personalities, type A, what have you, that are standing, you know, toe to toe. It can get ugly quick. Okay, so look at Matthew chapter 7. I meant to read this a few moments ago. Matthew chapter 7. It's on your outline, right above biblical examples, where Jesus, this is in the Sermon on the Mount, and of course he'd already been criticized. But listen to what he says. Judge not that you be not judged. He's not ever saying don't make a judgment. Of course we have to make judgments about certain behaviors, especially that are bad or immoral or damaging behaviors. The judge here is critical. When we do get our word criticized from it, the idea behind this is addressing people who have a judgmental, critical, negative spirit or attitude. If using those words is hard for me to use in talking about a Christian. Why would any follower of Christ, filled with the Spirit of God, ever be judgmental and critical, and negative and mean-spirited? We all know. And some of us have been hurt. Okay? And some of us have done it even in the name of God. Judge not that you be not judged. For with the judgment that you, with the criticism, negative, critical spirit that you pronounce, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck, which is very, very small, that's in your brother's eye, but not notice the tree, the log, the forest that's in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye. Let me help you see it the way you should see it, which is how I see it, rather than getting in their sandals. When there is a log in your own eye, you great Christian, you, we have this word, don't we? Hypocrite. First, take the log out of your own eye, and then you can see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. This is not saying that we don't judge, we don't offer feedback, we don't that we don't try to help others get better in life. What it says is, before we do that, we should look in the mirror and make sure that we've done whatever due diligence we needed to do to get right and to be right. So when you go, as it were, to criticize, when you go and that person brings something up about you, you can say, you know, and you're exactly right. And that's why before I came to talk with you, I had to talk with God. Because I had to get some things right in my own journey before I could rightly approach you. This is not saying that we don't, as it were, help people get better. It's just that we first of all get ourselves better, then we go help people. But we misuse this verse, and what we do is that we don't go because we know there are things in our life that are not the way that they ought to be. So rather than doing a little bit of as it were, self-judgment and the power of the Holy Spirit and getting ourselves right and better, we walk away. So I don't end up better, and the other person doesn't end up better. The intention of the passage is, get your own house in order. So you can go and help a brother. Don't ignore your house if it's burning down in order to go help a brother. Okay? Put the fire out in your own house. Then you can go and help your brother. It's a powerful passage. One I think most of us in the church, ignore. Approach with grace and fairness. Grace and fairness. Golden rule is a good thing to practice here. Do unto others, speak unto others, you have them speak unto you. Okay? Number 3. Hard for me. Wait. And somebody criticizes us, and man, I tell you what we do. Boom! It just immediately. Wait. I tried to put down a lot of words. Wait. Slow down. Take your time. Here's a thought. Pray. All before you talk, you blog, you write, you tweet, you text. Slow down. Slow down. Filter it, especially before you go public. Wise people wait. Wise people wait. Number 4. Examine, and this is not easy because we're so blind. Examine your motives and your goal. Why are you approaching this person? Why are you doing what you're doing? Or why are you offering criticism? Is it because you want to defend your pride? Is it because you want to defend yourself? Is it because you want to protect you? Is it because you want to look good? Is it because you want to make them look bad? Is it because you want to warn them, correct them? I don't know what the motive is. But my guess is if you're like me, I usually pop off quick. I don't wait. And I don't even think about, well, why am I even saying things to him? Why am I even saying anything? What do I want the outcome to be? What's my goal in approaching this? And I suspect because of my sinfulness and fallenness, I don't stop and pray and reflect and think about that because I don't think I've got the answer. It's more about me rather than it is about helping them. Sometimes you go to the person and, and I try to do this more often because I am a teller and a proclaimer more than anything. Okay? I go to lunch with people, talk to people, we got problems, I listen to their problems, and I want to say, here's what you do, you idiot. And sometimes the best thing you can criticize with is do this. Just go and give the person the information, and that's all. Just give them the information. Just let them decide what they do with it, rather than telling them what they need to do. Sometimes your criticism is just making a request. Just make the request. So examine your motive and goal. And then number 5, if you are wrong, okay, and some of you who are like me, okay, I know this is unfathomable. Okay, but if you are wrong, there is a teeny-weeny possibility that you are. If you've listened well and you prayed about it, then own up. Own up. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I misunderstood. I didn't have all the information. My bad. My problem, not yours. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. So, own up to it, okay? Not easy. Brings humility. But when you're wrong, admit it. Okay? And I know. I could name them, but I wouldn't. There are some people, in my life, few, in the church, that they just feel that their mission is criticism. It's just their mission. Okay? And I think I told you this story, and it was a number of years ago, which is a good thing. There was a gentleman in the church that I just felt like every Sunday morning he would catch me down front and tell me everything that we were doing wrong. And I listened till one day I got in the flesh. Yeah, Linda had been really ugly to me that morning. And she forced me in the flesh. And so this guy came up to me, and you know what I'm talking about, those people, okay? I could see him coming out of the corner of my eye. Here you go. Okay? So I bowed my neck and I just turned around and faced him. And he came up and he unloaded. And it was this time of year. The trees were up. It was this time of year. And I just listened and I said, "Can you do me a favor? I don't know what it is." And I said, "Can you never speak to me again until we finish?" You can't take it out of context and criticize me. I know what you're doing. Can you not speak to me unless you can first of all say at least one thing good that we're doing right? That's all I ask. Just start. Surely we're doing something right. Yes, are there things that are not right? Yes. And do they need to be fixed? Yes. And is the Holy Spirit giving you the divine mission to do this? Probably not. But can you start positive? And he was aghast. He was. Okay. And he didn't come up to me a long time. Probably 2 months, 3 months. And he came up to me and he said, "Remember that conversation we had a couple, 3 months ago?" "Oh yeah, I remember that one." I remember that. Yeah, I had to take my offering out of play. I had something against my brother. Okay, that's a different deal. But I said, "Yeah, and I probably should have apologized." He said, "No, you were right." And he did say, and he was right. "I didn't think the spirit that you offered it was right." He was right about that. And he said, "That's all I've done is complain. And I really want to be a part of the solution, not the problem. So I promise you, moving forward, I will try to begin with positive before I move to that which I think needs to be changed." And he became a dear brother. A dear brother. Okay. Whereas, I thought in my mind for a while, if nothing is right, why are you here? Okay. Why are you here? Unless you're on mission for Satan. But I don't know. All right. Okay. All right. That's giving criticism. All right. Let me go to the other side, which is harder, I think, and that's receiving the criticism. It's coming. Okay. It's coming. Okay. As long as we're breathing. And in relationships, at home, at work, coming. First of all, expect it. First of all, expect it. One of the sad things, for me, having been here as long as I have, is developing the deserved reputation in the first 20 to 25 years is that Jimmy is very difficult to approach. I know that's true. And that's painful, but it's true. Okay? Because of my defensiveness. That's not a good place to be in any world, especially as a pastor. Especially as a pastor. It's a horrible place to be. That's not how any of us, regardless of vocation, would want people to perceive us. Are there any people you work with or family that, kind of break out in sweats and hives when you know you should, or you go and you approach them about something that's critical that you need to approach them? Oh yeah. It's one of the most difficult assignments in life. That's why most of the time we just wimp out. Because we convince her, especially if it's been going on a long time, they will change. So why should I create relational tension? Okay, and we fail to approach it. So just expect it's coming. It really should be taken as, whether it's negative or constructive, it should be seen as a form, a proper step of instruction, an opportunity for us to get better. Number 2, never take criticism personally. I have a hard time not taking it all personally. And I try to do a better job when I have to criticize folks of it being something that they do or something that they've said and not about who they are. Okay? Not about who they are necessarily. Not attacking them per se. We're all imperfect. Number 3, which is important, consider the source of it. 3 questions to ask. Number 1, who is this foolish ignoramus standing on this kid? Who is this person standing in front of me? Who is this person? Do I sense they're really offering help and encouragement and reproof and rebuke in order to try to help me to be a better person? Or is it about winning? Is it about art? Who is this person? Are they a constant critic? You do need to consider the source. However, everybody can teach us something if we're willing to listen. Everybody. Even the chronic critic, if we're willing to listen. How are they criticizing me? What's their spirit? What's their attitude? And then third, why are they criticizing me? What I sense in their spirit, their attitude, their words, is it to help me or is it more to hurt me? But even in the end, okay, there's something we can learn, which is the third thing, with the fourth one, if valid, heed it. If invalid, dismiss it unless there's something you can learn from it. If there's something you can learn from it, then listen. Hit the next slide. This is a great quote from Rick Warren. Great people are just ordinary people with an extraordinary amount of determination. They simply don't know how to quit. They just keep on keeping on. I believe that a person's greatness is not determined by his or her fame, position, or wealth, but rather what it takes to discourage that person. You can tell a lot about someone by watching how they respond to criticism or failure. It reveals character. That's a powerful statement. It reveals character, which is supposedly the most important things about us. And then number 5, respond to all criticism graciously. Do not be defensive. Welcome to my world. Overreact, attack, get angry, become argumentative. Be humble, be teachable, be appreciative. Regardless of the source, there's perhaps some element of validity that we can learn from. Remember, being criticized, we're not going to avoid it. We just need to do a better job of learning how to give it and learning how to receive it. Again, Aristotle's words, remember, criticism is something we can avoid easily. Saying nothing, doing nothing, and then being nothing. Right? One more quote that I'll talk about next week. Dan Sutherland said, the reality is that criticism and opposition will drive you somewhere. Let it drive you closer to God, and you will become better. Let it drive you away from God, and you will become bitter. It's coming. It's coming. Let's let it make us better. Even if the source of it doesn't come with the best attitude or even the best motive in our judgment. Let's try to learn from it to become a better person. Okay? I think here's the key. Ephesians 4:15. I think these 5 words really sum up both the giving and then the receiving of criticism, where Paul says, speak the truth in love. To me, that means let's give and receive criticism truthfully, always being honest. Okay? Never hedging the truth, being a person of integrity, and then loving graciously, and offering it to others. Okay? It's right where we live, isn't it? Right where we live. All right, next week, last one, unforgiveness. Unforgiveness. Okay? Dealing with resentment, dealing with bitterness. Okay? It's probably one of those lessons that if you have something against someone that you've been holding on to, it would probably be a good day to be sick. Okay? Just got to be honest, all right? The primary text is Matthew 18, 21 to 35, which is a story Jesus told about the unforgiving servant. Powerful, powerful story. That's where I'll spend most of the time. And then Paul in Ephesians 4:32 and Colossians 3:13. And then the writer of Hebrews talks about a root of bitterness that develops in our lives when we refuse to forgive others in Hebrews 12:15. Okay? Let me look at the questions and then I'll have Andrew go back to the reading assignment for next week. Discussion questions. Here we go. Number one. How do you typically react to criticism? Be as honest as you can. Okay? Would others say, this is a hard one. Okay? If I went to your spouse, if I went to your kids, if I went to your co-workers, if I went to your friends, okay? Would others say you tend to have a critical, judgmental spirit? And what's been the best takeaway for you? There's a lot from the lesson. You may want to go back and discuss those Proverbs and Ecclesiastes as well. And let me pray for you. Father, thank you for our time together. Thank you, Lord, that you've already criticized us as fallen and condemned. But you didn't give up on us. You gave us hope. You dealt with us patiently, truthfully, and lovingly. At times we've responded in brokenness and humility and repentance, and at times we've been defiant and rebellious and shook our fists in your face. And we have done that with others, often with the people that we love the most. We're sorry. This criticism issue, Lord, it's just part of the human experience. From the lesson, help us to be wiser in how to give it. Because at times people need that, and they really need it from people that they know love them and want the best for them. That's hard to step into, but we should. And then when we're on the receiving end, whether the person's attitude and spirit or motive may be questionable, or whether it may be they're trying to help us and make us better. Help us to have enough wisdom and maturity, and to care enough about our journey being stronger and better, our character being more like Christ. Even when it's uncomfortable, to step into it, to embrace it, and let that make the changes needed in our lives to make us more like Christ. Bless the discussion now around the tables. In Jesus' name I pray.